We'll now be creating the Old East Dallas page based on a template that we've already created and the text that's provided for us in the assignment. I'm going to open up my GitHub page. I'll travel to GitHub. It'll take me to my root folder. If I click on my repository name, it's my username.github.io. This is a week 4 assignment. We'll be working here, but before I go there, I'm going to click on my files folder and open up my template. This template is the basis of all the pages that you'll be working on for our local portfolio. I'm going to highlight everything from line 1 to 22. Right click and tell the computer to copy. Control C is your shortcut. Then I'll scroll up a bit and go back to my repository so that in week 4, I'll click on that one, I can create a new file. I'll click on the Add File button on the right, create that new file, and this we're going to call oed.html. So it's Old East Dallas.html basically. Don't name it Old East Dallas with all the words. No need to. Just keep it short and simple. OED. If you do have words, make sure there's no spaces or special characters, and hopefully it's all in lowercase. Inside of the editor, I'll click to get the cursor. I can press Control V as in Victor, or right click and paste. Actually, I always forget. It's Control V is the only one that will allow us to paste here. So I have now the template open, or actually the template has been converted into a real page that's called oed.html, so that I don't have to go back and forth. Let me see if I can get this to show me two windows, and I think I can. Okay, so I have one on the right, and I'm going to put the other one on the left. My code, my GitHub is going to be on the right. This is where I'm going to be making my changes. On the left, I have the directions. I've already done that, and I am on the Old East Dallas page. So the mockup, this is basically telling us what this is going to look like. It also provides the text. So Old East Dallas will be a heading 1. This will be a paragraph. Swiss Avenue will be a heading 1, etc., etc. And at the bottom, we will keep on displaying the text that this is a fictional site created for a class at El Centro College. So let's see what we need to do. So your home page, let's change the title to Old East Dallas. Under meta, author is my name. Where you see keywords and description, well, I'm going to leave that up to you. Make sure that you can do a Google search for these areas in Dallas. Look up information about Swiss Avenue, Lower Greenville, Munger Place. There's pages out there that tell you about it. Write just a sentence or two for description, maybe just one sentence actually. And in keywords, I mean, if I were going to be guiding you through this, well, I would say for sure, you know, Dallas, comma, and Old East Dallas would be another one, comma, and etc. Let's see if you can find maybe 5 keywords that might represent what's going on in Old East Dallas, including names of streets, things like that. In the description, well, just like I said, write a simple sentence here that says, you know, information about Old East Dallas. Now, if you want to keep it as that, that's a little bit too simple. You know, let's flesh it out a little bit. Then let me show you then how to go about adding at least the first paragraph up here. We have in our GitHub page, we have the space for the logo. I'm going to leave that alone because, like I said, later we are going to be creating the logo. Here where it says the text goes here is where we're going to start. So just to give myself a little bit of space, I'm going to put in an enter before the first text goes here, and an extra one right below there as well. All of these vertical spaces will not display, so even if they're left behind, you're doing fine. In the meantime, let me see what we're asking you for. Inside the heading, okay, well, even though we're going to be creating the logo later, let's, for now, get the old East Dallas verbiage. You can either type it or copy it and put it inside the H1. So for your first big heading up here, that's where Old East Dallas will be displayed. I press Ctrl V to paste. Then we're going to be needing H2s throughout for each one of the streets. In the text, we see that the first one is actually a display of Old East Dallas, so now we know that that's an H1 that we've created, and then there's a paragraph, or a couple of paragraphs actually, that give us the first information. I will right-click and copy. I'll click where it says text goes here, and paste that text. Control V to paste. And I can't see the whole thing, and I can't see the whole thing for this either. So let me enlarge this a bit and tell it to help me out with a soft wrap. And I'll go back, hopefully, to my size where I can see it on the other side. Okay, so now I'm back. And I did type that in. I do have a wrap, and I see that in the early 1900s, all of Dallas was located, etc. And then it goes into another paragraph. Now, there's no code between here and here, so this is not what I want. I want the HTML to be the one in charge of the paragraph. So I will open up an angle bracket /P. That will finish the paragraph for the first one. And before it begins on Old East Dallas, I will add angle bracket P. And that'll say this is my new paragraph here. Next, we will have Swiss Avenue. This we said is going to be an H2 as opposed to an H1. We already have an H1 with Old East Dallas. So let me copy this. Select it, right click and copy. Go back to somewhere in between those paragraphs and press Ctrl V to paste. Now I have the text that says Swiss Avenue, and we know that this is going to be an H2. So I'll open up the bracket H2. And right after Swiss Avenue is finished, we'll say angle bracket /H2. Heading 2, which is smaller than heading 1, will open and close. We have one paragraph only that starts on line, well, it is line 21. And open bracket paragraph P. And at the very end, we will put in the end of the paragraph, bracket /P. You will do the same with Lower Greenville and Munger Place. Both of these need to have an H2 for each of the street names, and then a paragraph for each one of the paragraphs involved. At the end, you'll notice this is a little bit smaller since this is a fictional site created for a class, etc. That will actually become smaller later. For now, let's just leave it as such. And just so that there is additional space here, let's add a couple of paragraph opening and closing here. We'll probably do this in a different fashion later, but this just gives us a little bit of space by adding a paragraph opening and paragraph closing. I'll scroll down to the bottom of my page. Let me make this larger, and I will commit the new file. So now we've created oed.html, but hopefully you have also added the rest of the text. If you haven't, make sure you do. I will commit the new file and go back into it. I'll click oed.html and highlight the name on top with my repository name included, my username.github.io/week4/oed.html. Right click, go to that file. It still hasn't published. I'll give it a few minutes before that takes place. I will try to find my other page, the one with the assignment, to show you that if you go all the way to the bottom, there is one thing that we still like you to do. It says to add the code section to each of the sections. What does that mean? Sections to this page that are offering content that is distinctly different from the other section. So we have parts that say this is a paragraph of wording that relates to Swiss Avenue, and we have Swiss Avenue, we have Munger, Lower Greenville, etc. So each one of these will be represented as its own section. What does that mean? Well, it means that this word section here will be part of the code before the file opens. So in the file itself, I'll go back to the OED file, make sure that I'm editing it by clicking on the pencil. Then I see that the code that I have has Oldies Dallas as the header up here. The header itself is its own section, as it were. We'll talk about these codes later on. In the meantime, though, we do want to find, like I said, where the streets are. I'll put in a space, or I'll enter a space just before it, so that we can start to say that this street, for example, is going to be its own section. I will type in angle bracket, type in the word section, and close it. This section will include the heading. It will include the verbiage after it, and not necessarily the spacing. So I will right click and /section, press enter. So I'm just getting rid of some of the spacing. If the spacing remains, it's fine. HTML will ignore it. So I now have the header with the Oldies Dallas that has a heading 1. After that, we do have a paragraph that describes Oldies Dallas. I do have then a section that includes the name of Swiss Avenue as a heading 2, and then the paragraph. I don't have the rest of the streets. That is going to be up to you to either copy and paste or type all the information about Lower Greenville and Munger Place, and make sure that every time that you get to a new place, you add a section before it begins and close a section after it ends. I will commit the changes to save this file. And I think that by now probably the page itself is probably loaded. I will reload it. And now I see that I have Oldies Dallas. It has the introductory text. It has Swiss Avenue in an H2 with the information about Swiss Avenue. I do have a list of, or rather a statement that says this is a fictional site, etc. And then I have my name at the bottom with today's date. That is one thing that you also should do. This, I'll go back to edit that and tell it that it was last updated today. So today's date, in my case, this is going to be October 5th, 2020. Not Inktober, October. And I will commit the changes. This, I expect that they will change eventually in the next 30 seconds or so. In the meantime, I'm going to get the address of the web page I just created. I will copy it, head back to the assignment. I'll give myself the whole page to look at, and make sure that I'm inside the assignment 4.4, create Oldies Dallas page. Toward the bottom, make sure that you have completed everything else, that you have all the H2s, all the paragraphs, and the sections that offer the content inside. And then write submission. And here I will paste, Control V as in Victor, paste my link to my OED page. Click submit for a grade, and I'll see you in the next video.